Hello, nerds. Thank you for joining me right here on Generally Nerdy. This show is your week in Nerdom, and this episode is for October 25th, 2019. In this episode, we've got Lamb of God, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about in TV and streaming, we have a little bit to talk about in movies, we've got a little bit in everything this episode, so it's a complete episode. We're not missing any sections, but some of the sections are a little light. So let's hit the intro and we can get right into it. As far as housekeeping goes, before we jump into the news, there is very little housekeeping to keep up on. I did get the Lawrence McNaughton interview done. Now I am editing it, so there's that. It'll take me probably another few days to get that edited and posted, but it will be up soon, so stay tuned. And then the review for the book will probably be the week following. So that's where we are with that. Let's hit the news before my battery dies. First off, we have Lamb of God update. Now, this one, I'm a little surprised. I missed the first half of this because apparently it happened in like June or July. Chris Adler is officially no longer the drummer for Lamb of God. So that's not necessarily the news. I mean, it is kind of for me because, again, I somehow missed that announcement. But it was an announcement made back again, like June, July, somewhere in that neighborhood. However, just a couple days ago, Chris Adler came out finally with his first official statement since leaving the band to kind of explain why. And I'm not going to read the whole statement, it's lengthy, but he says in the statement that he didn't want to, quote-unquote, paint by numbers, and he didn't know what selling out would look like necessarily. But there was some reference to selling out, but he knew he didn't feel right doing something along those lines. It was a little scathing, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of a little finger pointy. Very interesting. His new project, Hail, is a cover band, kind of, which is really weird, because if you don't want to paint by numbers, you're tired of playing the same old songs over and over and over again, why would you start a band that does mostly like, there are some originals, but most of what I found so far from the band have been covers. And that's garbage. Either way, the name of the guy that is officially replacing Chris in Lamb of God is Cruz. It's the same dude that's been in there since Chris hurt his back and was out of commission for a while. So that dude's just writing the record with him. And they're in the studio writing the record still. So no real updates there. Our next piece of news, though, has to do with the Static X tour. We talked a little bit about it when it was first announced, that they're having somebody, presumably Edsel Dope, but he keeps denying it, but they have somebody wearing a mask to look like Wayne Static. It is the original lineup that does not include Trip Ison, which is kind of a weird situation in and of itself, but it is the original lineup before Trip joined the band, and that's not the news, though. That's just kind of bringing you up to speed. The news is that they had on this tour, which is the Wisconsin Death Trip 20th anniversary tour, which really makes me feel old. On this tour, they had Devildriver as support. They were the almost co-headline. They were the people that went on right before them, effectively. And Dez Fafara's wife has been diagnosed with cancer, and she's got to get cancer treatments, and it's kind of an intense situation. So Dez had to drop out, which means Devildriver had to drop out, which means they needed to replace that slot. So thoughts and prayers with Dez and his wife. That's intense. That sucks. You know, I don't remember what the hashtag are. Hashtag screw cancer, hashtag F cancer, I think might be the real one, but we're not going to say it on the channel because, you know, YouTube and rules and stupid. So to replace Devildriver, they got Mushroomhead, yes, and Drowning Pool, who will be alternating dates on the bill. It doesn't sound like different legs of the tour that these guys are going to be on, but it does sound like they will be literally alternating dates. The dates have yet to be announced on anyone's website, wherever you find tour dates. The rest of the tour dates for the Static X tour are up, but who is going to be playing on which dates has not been updated as of going to film today. So when that update comes, well, I'm sure I'll reference it at least in passing, but that is what we have for music right now. Let's jump right into TV news. TV is our biggest section. Last episode was movies. This episode is TV. Seems that sometimes they just like to go back and forth like that. So first thing we're talking about, and actually you're going to notice slightly different in the notes and such. Instead of it just being labeled as TV, now I'm labeling it as streaming because, I don't know, it just seemed to make a little bit more sense than just having all of these things labeled as TV. So with that in mind, first thing we're talking about is Punky Brewster. If you are approximately an elder millennial or a younger Gen Xer, even most Gen Xers I feel like will know who Punky Brewster is. If you are neither of those things, though, you probably have no idea who this is. Punky Brewster was a kids-oriented sitcom back in the mid to late 80s. And it was, I watched it passively. I feel like my sister watched it a little bit more because she's a little bit older, but it is coming back. NBC Universal's streaming platform, which is going to be called Peacock, which we haven't really talked a whole lot about on the show, is doing a continuation of the sitcom. So it's not going to be a reboot. It's not going to be, from the sounds of it at least, it's not going to be like a Legacy-quel style sitcom like the Girl Meets World, where it was the kid that was the Boy Meets World back in the day, all grown up, and then his daughter. This sounds like it's just following the life of Punky Brewster even more, only now she's all grown up. And they got Soleil Moon Frye, who played Punky back in the day. She is going to be playing Punky again, which, makes freaking sense. But they also got, which is a really interesting one, Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to be playing opposite Soleil Moon Frye as her ex-husband. Her dad is still in the picture, so that's still going to be a thing. Just seems really interesting. And now it's just going to be a straight-up multicam sitcom. Though the billing I saw had it listed as a multicam/hybrid. Not entirely sure what that means, but because you have the sitcoms that are single cams that are a little bit more serious and a little less on the comedy, but still funny. Parenthood comes to mind. So maybe some sort of hybrid between those two styles. Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, but we'll see when it launches. Staying on the streaming of things, but not with Peacock, we are moving over to HBO Max, and all of you Adventure Time fans out there who were really bummed about a year ago when Adventure Time got canceled, you have reason to rejoice because HBO Max has commissioned 4-hour-long specials from Adventure Time, from the original creator. They will be released 2 at a time, I believe I saw, and they are going to be called Adventure Time Distant Lands. Presumably that means, that has some sort of reference to the content of the specials, but aside from that, we don't know anything about what these specials are going to contain. So, we're moving on. Next, we're talking about Johnny Galecki. So, he and one of the writers/producers from The Big Bang Theory are working on another nerd-oriented sitcom. This one is for NBC as well, I believe. Yes, NBC, and it's going to be called The Squad. And this one is, instead of it being based on just comic book reading super smart types, is going to be based around esports players. So it has, apparently the first season at least, is dealing with some kids who feel like outsiders, and then they finally find their tribe, quote unquote, using their words, NBC's words, in esports team, and then therein lies comedy and sitcom drama and so on and so forth. So it sounds interesting. No word. I could not find whether or not Galecki was going to be in it. For those that don't know, by the way, Johnny Galecki is Leonard Hofstadter from The Big Bang Theory and is also in The Connors and the Roseanne. I can't remember his character name in those shows, but he's good. He's got nerd cred, at least for the fact that he was in Big Bang Theory. And no matter how divisive that show may or may not have been, I am not on the side of it's offensive because they're laughing at nerds. No, it's a caricature of nerds, but we're not going to get into that conversation. So interesting. We are still in the pop culture lexicon. We are still relevant. That is, kind of why I brought that in. But then next we are talking about, this is actually a follow-up. Apple TV's Foundation series is moving forward with great force. We have some casting. We have, Lee Pace and Jared Harris have been cast in 2 of the lead roles for the Foundation series. Presumably for the first season, I would have to go back and reread the second 2 books to be sure, but I'm pretty sure both of these characters only exist in the first book. Pace will be the Emperor, Brother Day, who I don't remember so well from the first book, but Harris will be Harry Seldon, who I remember very well from the first book because he's a prime character. He is the mathematician that predicts the fall of the Empire. So that is freaking awesome. They are definitely making headway in that show, and I'm super excited. I don't know how I'm going to watch it because I'm not sure I'm going to be getting Apple TV, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. Next and final for TV news is another confirmation of rumor. This confirmation has to do with Jeff Loeb being the upper man, the man in charge for Marvel TV. We already talked about the rumor that said now that that title has officially been given to Kevin Feige and they were not going to fire Loeb. It seems that the rumor that said he's going to be retiring was factual. THR is now picking up and running with it, and they're saying that the announcement will be officially made by Loeb himself by Thanksgiving. So in about by a month from now, we will be hearing Loeb say, I am stepping down, I'm retiring, whatever the vocabulary is going to be. I mean, it is what it is. I'm kind of a fan of Loeb, but like we talked about in Rumor Mill a couple episodes ago where we first broke this, apparently he's kind of a jerk. So, there you have it. That's all we have for television news. Next, we are moving into movie news. And movie news, we have updates on the Hocus Pocus sequel. I feel like the last time we talked about this was months and months ago. And now there's, again, with the streaming, everything going crazy and everybody's trying to get content for their streaming platform, this is starting to pick up some steam. So we got the official announcement that it's coming out of development limbo, which is cool. Jen D'Angelo has been hired to write the script. Collider is also saying that the studio is going to make at least an attempt, a wholehearted attempt, to get Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy back as the original Sanderson sisters, though no word as to what the story is going to do with them if they do come back. If they're going to be the main characters again, if they're going to be, or the main antagonists, I guess, or if they're going to be, if it's going to be some sort of passing the torch situation, don't know. It is going to be a movie, though, and not a series, so it very well could be that we're just catching back up with the Sanderson sisters as they get resurrected for a second time somehow, because whatever. Interested because this movie was so much fun. Actually, probably about to go watch it as soon as I'm done filming, so, there is that. And then our only other piece for movie news is Pinocchio, Disney's live-action version, not Sony's live-action version, but Disney's live-action version. They are now in conversation with Robert Zemeckis, Powerhouse director, to direct their live-action adaptation. Interesting to see how that's going to come to fruition. If Zemeckis is going to take it, he doesn't have a whole lot. I mean, I guess he produced Spy Kids, if I remember correctly. I didn't write down his credentials in the notes, so that is kind of where we're going to have to leave it. Now, let's jump into gaming real quick. We only have one gaming update, and that one update has to do with Fallout 76. They have released the subscription service that they said wasn't coming because, what's his name on the quartering? I'm sorry, bro, I can't remember your name. Didn't put in my notes, whatever. But yeah, the quartering said almost a year ago that this was coming, and then Bethesda came out and said, no, this isn't a thing that we're working on. No. And now it's here, and it's complete garbage. It is $100 a year for the cheap option, because there is the other option. You could pay $13 a month. Excuse me? Baking powder? Whatever. And the only real perk to this, because everything else is like, kind of extra stuff that is useful in the game, but the only real bonus to paying that $100 a year is your private server. And that's it. That's really it. The rest of the perks that you get for subscribing are garbage. What the hell? So hopefully they hear all of the fans' cries and they fix this and you get something freaking useful. But until that happens, I really doubt they're going to sell many, if any, of these subscription services. But that's all we've got for gaming. Comic books is also relatively short. We have our first official update on the Bat-Cat book, the Batman Catwoman book. That is the end of Tom King's run, because Tom King was 15 books short of hitting 100 books on the Batman book. So he's going to do 15 books for Batman Catwoman book. And confirmation of the rumor that we talked about, honestly, a few weeks ago, is that the villain is going to be Phantasm, and it is going to be some female. Whether or not it is the original Phantasm, we don't know that entirely. Tom King has been pretty tight-lipped, but he did release the cover of the first issue. Also, news on this book is that we will not be getting the first issue in January. Tom King is kind of throwing Clayman, his artist, under the bus a little bit, saying, it's the art that's taking a while. We have all of the scripts written, but Clay wants to make sure that the art is perfect. So no announcement as to when it will be released. We just know it won't be released in January. Now, let's get into the rumors. So, rumor mill is kind of brimming with Batman. First up, we have an update on Matt Reeves' movie, where Elijah Wood is apparently the one they're looking at to play the Penguin. Interesting choice. Elijah Wood is a great actor, but physically for the Penguin, the guy from Gotham wasn't physically the Penguin either, I guess, so very, very interested to see what comes of that, if anything. The next Batman rumor has to do with the WB Montreal game, and the title has apparently leaked for the WB game, which is going to be Batman Arkham Legacy, as well as some of the gameplay details, in that the rumor states that all of the Bat family are going to be playable. Now, what do they mean by all of the Bat family? Oh, because the Bat family is gigantic. Like, I can't even remember all of the members right now. You've got Batman, Batwoman, Batgirl, Robin, Red Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, Spoiler, Batwing, The Light, and then at least 3 other characters, and then you have 2 other Robins that aren't in the main continuity but are still considered part of the Batman family. And so what does that mean? Who knows? Who freaking knows? And also there have been some rumblings about who the main villain is going to be for this game. Everyone is saying a different character, so it was kind of pointless to put in the rumor, because maybe it's going to be the Riddler, maybe it's going to be the Penguin. I don't think it's going to be the Penguin. I feel like it was Riddler, and actually, he's the only one that's coming to mind. So, rumor says Riddler. There you go. Next, we are talking about the Inhumans. All of this TV talk, and everyone very rightfully chooses to forget that the Inhumans existed. Or if you haven't forgotten, then you really hate the fact that it was a thing, because it was hot garbage. Very, very bad. So this new rumor is that Feige is rebooting. He doesn't just want to, but it is happening. And to play Black Bolt, apparently they've been talking to Vin Diesel. This rumor, and I don't normally name check rumors because they're rumors, so it's kind of why waste the time, but this one, partially at least, comes from Anson Mount, who played Black Bolt in that ill-fated TV series. So at least the talking to Vin Diesel and the fact that Inhumans is on the board as things that they want to make, that part is 100% true. Whether or not Vin Diesel actually becomes Black Bolt remains to be seen. Next, we are talking about... Well, and also, what does Anson Mount really know? He doesn't still work for Disney. I mean... So, like, how much inside information does he really have? He just hears rumblings like the rest of us. Anyway, next we're talking about staying on the Disney side of things, Hawkeye. So, Jeremy Renner is going through some very personal issues right now, and it's getting very ugly in the press. We're not talking about that directly, but because of that, there is a rumor that he has been fired from his Hawkeye show on Disney+. No one has made any sort of official statement. Everything you hear is just rumor, so there is no... I doubt that's going to happen unless something horrible comes out, and even then, like, that will just push back the Hawkeye, I feel like. Less likely to fire him, more likely to distance themselves from the issue and then revisit it in a year or so. Much like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn. So there's that. Well, how do I want to finish this? All right, so we'll do the Star Wars. No. We'll skip Star Wars for the moment. We're gonna go to Batman Beyond. Like I said, brimming with Batman. So Warner Brothers is seriously considering, according to this rumor, is seriously considering a Batman Beyond movie. And not just that, they are seriously considering bringing Michael Keaton back in to play Bruce, to play the old retired Bruce Wayne. Don't know who is going to play Terry Kennedy, but if they get Michael Keaton to play retired Bruce, much like Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin said on the Fat Man Beyond podcast, it's going to make $1 billion easy. All right, so that brings us to the aforementioned Star Wars rumors. So this one is actually more of a leak, and I decided to put this in the rumor mill because leaks are just glorified rumors. Yes, there is a little bit more of a potential for them to become reality, though we have found in the past, especially in the gaming side of things with Mortal Kombat, that leaks are not always 100%. Maybe 70 to 80% would probably be a little bit more accurate, but so there have been a series of leaks about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I am not going to read you the list of leaks because it is very detailed plot leaks that I read, because I don't really care about spoilers, but I'm not going to read them on here for a number of reasons. First, I don't want to spoil anything. Second, I don't want to get people's hopes up for certain plot elements, because again, it is a leak, it is a glorified rumor, and it very likely might not happen. And the other half of this is some of the leaks are image related, and Disney has been taking action against people who are posting these images. Not legal action, because that's a really iffy situation, but they've been copyright striking people on YouTube for posting the images. So I'm not going to do that either. So no pictures on screen for this one, because just the two images that I've seen, one of them doesn't really give anything away because it is just a picture of the Emperor. Oh, big shocker. We already knew he was going to be in the show, or in the movie, so there's that. But the other one is a picture of Rey and Kylo together in a way that's going to spoil a lot of things. Maybe Kylo's dead. Maybe Rey went to the dark side. Maybe Kylo came to the light side. I'm not going to tell you because it's super spoilerific, but crazy big spoilers. And these two images, like I said, Disney has copyright stricken people for posting them, which means they're real. They actually happen. Why? So there's so much broken about the fact that Disney is doing that. Why would you copyright strike? Because then you're just confirming the fact, and the internet is the internet, so even if somebody takes a video down, those images are up for good. Like, they exist somewhere. 1 million people have downloaded them to their computers at the very least. So your half-assed action is not enough and is too late by a million miles. So yeah, if you are interested, they are really easy to find. All of the plot leaks and the image leaks are very, very easy to find. So all you have to do is go to Google and look for them. And that's what we've got for rumors. That's really interesting though, right? And that's what we have for the episode. Wow, I was looking for more notes, and that was the end of the notes. So, what did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is the place to find all of the freebies and the links to everything else, including the Patreon, patreon.com/generallynerdy. If you want to subscribe for monthly subscription stuff, there is bonus material up on the Patreon, so go check that out. On the About page on the YouTube channel, there is a one-time donation button if you do want to support, but you can't afford to do it monthly. Either way, that's awesome. Even just watching the shows is awesome, so don't feel like you have to give me money. It's just nice to make a couple bucks doing the thing that I really like doing, right? So that is, again, all we have for everything. If you are falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, then you can click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to ring the bell, hit the thumbs up if you like the episode. But before you do any of that stuff, guys, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.